Hey everyone, I'm Ms. Milkowski the mathematician, and today we are going to simplify radical expressions. All right, so I know in previous videos you have seen me simplify the square root of 72 or the square root of 60, but now we're going to try one that has variables. So I know one of the strategies I gave you for simplifying the square root of 72 was to write 72 as a product of its prime factors, okay? Well, if we were to apply kind of the same idea to this, we'd be writing x to the 33rd as, 33 x's, and then for y to the 17th, that would be 17 y's, and it would be very long, and it would take forever, and it would also take up a lot of space. So I want to show you another method we can do, all right? So the question is, can we write x to the 33rd as x to the some multiple of 2 and then times x, right? And we can, all right? Another way to write, and maybe I'll do this with blue here. Another way to write x to the 33rd is x to the 32nd, times x, right? And let's do the same for y. How could we write y to the 17th as something where we're dealing with a multiple of 2? And that would just be y to the 16th times y. So it's kind of really easy when we're dealing with square roots. If they're odd numbers, we just subtract 1 and then multiply by, so it becomes 33 becomes x to the 32 times and then x. Because remember, when you're multiplying, you add the exponent. So it's really like y to the first, but we don't really show that. We just say y, but it's 16 plus 1 is 17, 32 plus 1 is 33. All right? So we're going to do that. Okay? So I may just erase this just so that I have room, because I feel like I'm always running out of room. Okay? All right. So, there we go. So I'm going to rewrite this as the square root of x to the 32nd times x times y to the 16th times y. All right. Now, something that you may remember, and I'm going to do this in another color, is that the nth root of x times y equals the nth root of x times the nth root of y, okay? So the only reason I'm saying that is sometimes if we break everything up like that, okay, using the product property, it just makes it easier. We can kind of see everything individually, right? And I think it just makes things more clear, okay? So I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to write this as the square root of x to the 32, so 32nd times the square root of x times the square root of y to the 16th times the square root of y. Okay. Now, there's something else I want to remind you of, because this was the whole reason we were trying to get this number and this number, or I should have said this number and this number, to be a multiple of 2. So why did we write it as x to the 32nd times x? And why did we write y to the 17th as y to the 16th times y? Okay, and this is why. I should take the red again, actually. You probably remember that the nth root of x equals x to the 1 over n. So in this very specific case, because we're dealing with square roots, okay, it means the square root of x equals x to the 1 over 2. Okay? So we are going to apply that. We're going to leave these two alone, and you'll see why. But we're going to apply that to these two. Okay? So the square root of x to the 32nd is the same as x to the 32nd. Okay? X, in this case it was to the 32nd, and then to the 1/2 times root x. And then for this one, it's times y to the 16th to the 1/2. And then, of course, times the square root of y. All right. Now, because we just love all of these properties and rules and stuff, let me remind you of another one. X to the a to the b equals x to the a times b, okay? So that's what we're going to use right now, okay? So x to the 32nd to the 1/2 is the same thing as x to the 32 times 1/2. And then, of course, times root x. And then y to the 16th to the 1/2 is the same as y to the 16 times 1/2. and then of course times the square root of y. All right, now 32 times a half. Okay, you can either do that multiplication or you can write it as 32 over 2 times the square root of x times, and then 16 times a half. We know that's 8, but you could also write it as 16 over 2. I'm just showing the middle step just in case people want to see it. Okay, great. Now let's do the division here. 32 divided by 2 is 16. I'm totally running out of room here. X to the 16th times square root of x times y to the 8th times the square root of y. Come up there. This looks great. So now I'm just going to kind of arrange things in a better way here. Okay, I'll get the things are on the outside together. So x to the 16th and y to the 8th. Let me put those together. So x to the 16th, this equals x to the 16th, y to the 8th. Then I have times the square root of x times the square root of y. And then remember, okay, I can use that to put them together. I mean, technically, could you leave it like that? You probably could. I mean, I don't want my students to leave it that way. I want them to put the x and the y under the radical together. So it would look like this. Perfect. So there you go. Hey everyone, I'm Ms. Milkowski, the mathematician, and I hope you found that last video helpful. If you have any questions or if there are any topics you'd like to see me cover in future videos, definitely let me know in the comments below. Thank you again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'm going to leave you with the most important piece of advice I can give you, which is when you're doing mathematics, always ask why.